Hello everyone, Ellen Woodbridge here, independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Australia. I would like to welcome you back to my fourth and final card for my Merry and Bright class. This is the bonus card. I didn't make this in any of the classes and it didn't go out in any of the class packs, but I couldn't resist but to share it with you. So once again, we've used Merry and Bright stamp set and dies. I have added in the Merry, Bold and Bright designer series paper. So we're using 3 different patterns here. And I've added in some bling. So let's see if I can show you how much this light blings with our Winker Stella, and I've also added in our glitter sequence. So I'm hoping you can get that bling there, and I've also used our basics 3D embossing folders. So let's just slide some things to the side here. I think I might start with my stamping, and I have been a little bit smart and I have pre-done my stamping, but I will show you how I stamped and die cut and did all the things, because I do have another card to put together a little bit later. So I just have some scraps of basic white. I'm using my Poppy Parade, which goes with the Poppy Parade in the designer series paper, and I'm just going to stamp the bulb first. That seems to be nice and solid. Stamp that down, hold it for a few seconds, and then lift up, and I get a beautiful bold bulb. They're going, this is going to sound silly. And I love the oh what fun sentiment. It's a fun Christmas sentiment without being too Christmassy or overly Christmassy. It's a fun sentiment. So that is all the stamping we are doing for this project. So I'm going to bring in my mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, just because I have it right here and it shows a little easier on screen. I know I'm going to have to get my big one in just a second to do the embossing, but I just wanted to show you this. So I'm cutting the bulb, and I'm also taking a piece of grey granite cardstock, and I'm just going to use the bulb topper. So this one has some really nice detail on it. So this one doesn't go with the stamp. It is a die all by itself. Just trying to line that up as best as I can. Grab my top plate. Hopefully nothing moves like it did in the last card. And it did move. Take 2, take 5, whichever we prefer. Okay. Get that nicely there. Perfect. So going to try this way, and that is sandwiched down nicely. There we go, all the way through. I'm still holding it until this bulb catches, and crank all the way through. So I can close this friend up and pop it aside, and I have one bulb done, and I have one topper. Okay, now to get this topper out, I'm going to take my crafter's tips, take your pick tool. Just going to hold this, attempt to hold it, and I'm just going to get these 2 ejection points. And this pops it out perfectly. Put my die where I'm not going to use it. So that's the top 2 parts. I'm not going to hand cut this on screen, but I have done one earlier that looks a little like that. So that is those elements done. Next, I'm going to move on to the embossing. Now, I have used the Basics 3D embossing folders. So these come as a set of 3, and if you own all 3, you can choose whichever you prefer. So we have the crosshatch, we have the polka dot, and we have the flower, starfish. It kind of goes in lots of ways, or just stars. And this is the one I chose because I thought stars, Christmas, that works perfectly. So let's just grab the plates that I need. So we need plate 1, and from the instructions here, we're using a 3D embossing folder, which means we also need plate 4. Okay, so slide some things out of the way here so I have enough room for my larger machine, which has the correct size opening for the embossing folder. So I chose to use shaded spruce, so I've paired the shaded spruce with a granny apple green card base, because I do have a couple of places where there is shaded spruce in the designer series paper. It's not a green I use very often, but it works perfectly with this card, and it actually also works really, really nicely with the Poppy Parade. Okay, that's all closed. Take my embossed piece out, put my plates away because I've already lost a plate today. It did get found, but I'd lost my mini plates. So that is beautifully and deeply embossed. Pop that away for the moment too. So we have our starter, our big base elements. So now I'm going to put our strips of paper, designer series paper, on our pieces of Poppy Parade. I got inspiration for this sketch from Jamie B on Instagram. So I'm pretty sure I can't find the sketch now on her Instagram, but I certainly did take the measurements, and I'm pretty sure I have the sketch saved in my photos. So I will definitely share that if I do have a copy of it. So just lining these up, popping them aside, going on to the next. Just a couple of little dots here. This is a great way to use up any scraps that you may have, or you can make up a whole lot of these strips and then make a whole lot of cards. And it's great using the designer series paper because it's all coordinating, so it really doesn't matter what patterns you put together. I've happened to gone for trees, dots, and then the Santa hats, but any 3 patterns would have looked amazing. Okay, I did stand upright, please. I did get a little bit of glue where I didn't want it, and I shall deal with that later with a adhesive eraser. So I'm just going to put a spot of glue. That was way too much. I've been waiting for that to happen. So I will very quickly fold my card base in half. So as I said, this is Granny Apple Green. And I'm going to get a whole lot of that glue off just like that. Perfect. What happened? I don't know what happened. I've got glue exactly where I'd like it. Okay. Just slide this into place where I would like it. That's my bulb all done. Do I just want a tinsy, just wouldn't mind a little bit of that white showing. Perfect. Very, very happy with that. While I've got glue here, we're going to adhere the card front to the card base, and then everything else is going to be adhered with dimensionals. So let's just do a bit of a slide here. There we go. Perfect. Done. Pop that to the side and let's dimensional all of these up and ready to rock and roll. I just have a little bit of glue where I didn't want it. Rubbing it has got that away perfectly. I will need both my large dimensionals and my minis because my sentiment is a little bit mini here. So I'm going to say I'm going to need 2 on my bulb, and I'm going to need 3 on each strip. No saggy middles here, except for the ones that I own. Curse of getting old, having a saggy middle, I think. Okay. This one. And this one. Okay. Never takes too long, but it is a process. So do you like using designer series paper like this in strips for your cards, or would you prefer to use a whole piece for like a card front? I'm happy to do both. I personally don't feel I have a preference, but I do know often a lot of people do have a preference. So one here and one here. This is probably going to be a 4, but that's okay. One here, and I wonder if I can fit one here in the corner just to support that end. Sorry if my head got in the way there, but that one on the end is perfect. So now we're ready to assemble, and at the end we have our beautiful bits to add. So I'm going to add this one in the middle. I'm going to use our crafter's tip again, the hook, because I find this to be the most useful tool in my craft room. So I'm going to set this up as the middle, not on a jaunty angle like that, but it doesn't matter. It's just I'm going to set this piece so then I can set the other pieces above and below it. So if you want to center things, often doing it this way, setting your middle piece will give you correct, or the spacing that you wish. I won't say correct because there really isn't a wrong and a right way about card making. It's just your way. Okay, that's quite enough on there. Take all of those off. Now, I've got to decide whether I want my shaded spruce ones going up or... Oh, it's a very hard decision which way I want this. It doesn't really matter, but do you know what? It kind of looks wrong to have these ones in the opposite direction on the edge. So that decided that for me. Just trying to get fairly the same spacing between them. Have a feeling. 1, 2, 3. No, they are all sticky. I just didn't want to take. Okay. There we go. So let me, oh, that top one's probably a little bit closer, but I don't think anyone will really judge me on it. So I'm going to add my bulb first. Take these off so then I can work the minis a little bit easier. So I kind of want this to span all 3 pieces, but I think I do need it closer to the edge. Looking at my original one, I need this just a titch closer to the edge there, so it's touching all 3 panels, which brings them together. And then add the sentiment. So this class has involved a little bit of hand cutting with our sentiments, but I truly believe that in all the cases of the cards that I've done it, it has been the right look that I have been after. So let me see here. Perfect. Very happy with that. So final touches. We are going to bring in our glittered sequins and our wink of Stella. So I'm going to pounce my wink of Stella here and just pounce it all the way down here. I just find if I'm going to rub it on this, I am going to transfer a little bit of the ink into, please excuse me there. I'm going to transfer a little bit of the ink into the shine, but that's okay. I'm going to let that layer dry because I am going to add multiple layers. So while that's quickly drying, I am going to add these. So these are the clear glittered sequins. I just thought they worked so well for just a little bit of fun and shine. So I didn't quite leave enough for the 2 at the bottom there, but I do need to, a bit too high, and that one just there. So I've added my 3, and now I can give another layer of my wink of Stella. So you can see it is a little bit red on the tip, and I'll show you how to get rid of that. So 2 layers just makes that so very sparkly. I love it. So if you have a scrap piece of paper around, you can just literally rub the bristles off And now I don't have any red, and that is ready to go for any future project. So that is the finished card. Very similar, very similar to the original. Just a little bit different placement of the sentiment. I love that. So let's go over what we have used. We've used the glittered sequins. We've used the Winker Stella. We did some cutting with the bulb and the top art there, and we used the bulb and the Oh What Fun sentiments out of the stamp set. I really want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for supporting me with my classes. I do enjoy bringing them to you and hope to bring you some in the very near future. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. And if you want some specific measurements, it will be in the accompanying document. Yeah, thank you so much, and I shall see you next time. Bye.